All right, man. It's time. It's time. You know what I'm saying? We got our third guest on the channel. You know what I'm saying? This is big for the At the Buzzer Sports community, man. This is really big. This is the third guest of the channel. We are very excited to introduce River Brown, as Rivio, whatever he wants to go by during the day or whenever he feels like being called, whichever one you guys could choose. But how you doing, man? How you doing?
Listen, man, I had a good Christmas. Watched some good hoops on Christmas. I'm off. I don't got work for a while. I'm feeling good. I'm in the crib, fresh off my vacation. So I'm happy to get back to work. I'm happy to really lock in. Start to watch some more sports. NFL playoffs is around the corner, so I'm excited about that. NBA is starting to gear up. We starting to get to that point where now it's like, all right, let's take it a little bit more serious. But just excited to be here. Just excited to talk some hoops. Excited to be up on here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Steelers were really trying to ruin my Christmas. They were trying as hard as they could to ruin my Christmas. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even gonna watch. I'm not
Are
even
you
gonna
Steelers
watch.
fan?
Yes,
God
yes.
bless. Yeah, God
Yeah,
bless.
man, it's tough because they do this every year. They're like, you know what? We're gonna go into December 7-3, 7-4, then we're gonna lose our next three, and then
Mm.
we're gonna lose by two possessions in the first round of the playoffs. It happens every year, and I fall for it like an idiot every single year. Every single year. But that's not what we're here for. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the trade season because we know a lot of things have ramped up over the past week or two. We got some De'Aaron Fox news, some Jimmy Butler news, Zion. It happens every year. This is probably the first trade season where Giannis is kind of like not in the discussion anymore. I know they tried as hard as they possibly could earlier this season to get him out of Milwaukee, but this so far we haven't really gotten much noise since the NBA Cup win. So that's good to hear. You always keep Giannis in Milwaukee because it's only an hour and a half drive from where I'm at. So I'm gonna go get Bucks tickets. They real cheap too. So every time, every time, every time. But we got a lot to talk about. Some teams that could be making some changes this trade deadline. We got some players that could be on the move and what's the best choices for them, some team needs, and we're also going to be talking about a trade deadline miracle over the past two seasons where we've seen teams make a lot of moves at the trade deadline and end up going to the Western Conference Finals, going to the NBA Finals. I'm talking about the Los Angeles Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks. They made some moves that kind of shifted the gears of their team who were looking outside of the playoff race or kind of towards the bottom and end up making a really big run. So, Riv, I want to ask you, what team do you think that would be this season, if any, or if there is a team that needs it the most, what team is it?
Well, we got a lot of guys right now in the market. We got, like you mentioned, Fox possibly on the market, Jimmy Butler's possibly in the market. But I think the role players are really the conversation we want to get into. Like, you got guys like Robert Williams, who's out there in Portland, athletic rim protector. We got guys like Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith over there in Brooklyn. We just seen Dennis Schroeder get traded to Golden State. I think a team, I got two teams on my mind because I think when you look at the landscape of the West, you got OKC at the top. Houston, Memphis is right there. Dallas, they just lost Luka, but they're pretty well rounded in their attack. I think Memphis could jump in this horse. I think maybe
Yeah.
grabbing a guy like Cam Johnson would be dope, even a Dorian Finney Smith, because I think what you have in Memphis is you have a bit of a good bad problem. And I love Memphis. Watch every game. Love John Morant. That's my guy. Jaren Jackson, all that great stuff.
Yeah.
But you have a good bad problem in the sense of you have like 12 good players. And when you have like 12 good players, everybody is going to be able to get burned. Everybody is going to be able to reach their full potential. And, you're sitting there and you're like, all right, this team is good. We're top 10 in offense, defense, our half court offense has improved. But how can we really make this team better? And how can we really make a push? This isn't like, Memphis and Houston are young, but there's a difference. Memphis kind of has their three guys kind of locked up, and they dealt with injuries last year, so they kind of missed a year. But John Morant, Jaren Jackson, Bane, those are three of their guys. Now you have to kind of figure out who's going to complement them. With Houston, they're trying to figure out who their three guys are. You have Sengun, but the other two guys are still up in the air. So I think for Memphis, it's kind of about how, like, we want to be competitive. We want to really try to make a run at this. I think a team like Memphis is a team, don't sleep on it. They have a couple draft capitals. They have a couple young guys they can throw in there, along with a Marcus Smart contract that kind of fits perfectly to Cam Johnson. I know he's been their vocal leader in the locker room, but I don't really think they need a Marcus Smart. I think you can upgrade at that. I think that's something that I'll be looking forward to. And a team like Cleveland, I think a team like Cleveland is another team in the East. They don't have a ton of draft capital, but they have a ton of matching salaries, and they could grab a guy like DFS, a guy like Cam Johnson. Don't sleep on those two teams. I think those are two teams that kind of get slept on when you talk about championship aspirations and you know Western Conference, Eastern Conference aspirations. But those are two teams at the top of their respective conferences that I think could make some noise.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are still sleeping on Cleveland.
Yeah,
And I think it's because, Boston, we come into the season, they're the overwhelming favorite to go back to the NBA finals, but I really don't hate what Cleveland has done. And as we're talking about Memphis and Boston, or when I just brought up Boston, they did something pretty interesting when they played together or played against each other. They helped off of Drew Holiday, and Drew
yep.
Holiday shot 17 3-pointers. And instead of kind of like giving them the advantages they're looking for, it's like we're just going to make the best out of a bad scenario. So they're going to allow Drew Holiday to physically beat them from the 3-point line. He ended up taking 17 threes. It was one of his cold nights, and they end up winning that game. I think a lot of teams are going to start to look at that. And I also think Cleveland has a very versatile front court, and they can have a starting level big on the floor at all times, whether it's Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. They both play really well in transition, especially guarding wings. I think Cleveland is really slept on. Cleveland is really slept on. I think Donovan Mitchell could have a really good playoff series or a couple of playoff series to where it's game 6 in Boston and Cleveland may be able to close it out. I'm telling you, people are going to be it's going to be like, we knew this and now everybody's catching on. Like Cleveland can give Boston a really tough series. And I think people are just like, yeah, they're the 1 seed, but they're kind of like Atlanta back in
So
2015, where it's
disrespectful.
like, we know you guys are a good regular season team, but when it's time to face that man in Ohio, who really, but I don't think this is the same scenario at all. But as for my team that may make that trade deadline miracle, I got the Denver Nuggets. I think the Denver Nuggets have multiple contracts they can move. I think a lot of guys' trade value has went up, whether it's Julian Strother, whether it's Peyton Watson. Zach LaVine has been rumored to come to Denver, and at first I didn't necessarily love the idea because Michael Porter Jr. would have to be in the move, and Michael Porter Jr. Contributes so much to your size in your scheme, which is trying to get people to not go to the rim or deter people from going to the rim because Jokic isn't the best rim protector. And he also adds on the rebounds as well. And he also is a really good 3-point shooter, which the Nuggets need. But when I look at Zach LaVine's game and when I see him and how he would play next to Nikola Jokic, you can stagger their minutes. So Zach LaVine can play with the second unit as much as possible. I know that's been a big problem with the Nuggets this season. You can have Jamal Murray only playing with Nikola Jokic to try and get him the best shots possible. And I don't necessarily hate the hit they're going to take on defense. You still have Christian Brown, you still have Peyton Watson, you still have Aaron Gordon, and when I look at the similarities between the Nuggets this year and then the Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks, they have the guy. The Lakers had LeBron and AD who were good enough throughout a playoff run to get you all the way to the Western Conference Finals. You had Luka Doncic, who was so good offensively that he could take you to an NBA Finals. Then you have Jokic, who creates some of the most mismatches in the NBA. So as long as you have a comparable team around him, I think they can make a run. And it also troubles me because it's like this is really Jamal Murray insurance. Like if Jamal Murray is playing better, do we really think about trading for Zach LaVine? Or that's the question around it. So we're gonna see how Jamal Murray plays, but I think the Denver Nuggets are a team that could really make some noise at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I actually love Zach Levine in Denver, and it's more for the sense of I listen. I like Denver's roster. They're not going to find a backup big. I think that is probably the most important thing. Like DeAndre
Yeah,
Jordan, Zeke Naji, or Swiss cheese. You kind of need that. And I think their wing defenders are not good enough offensively to where you can keep them on the floor. So if you
right.
can't do that, why not just go upgrade at offense and just be this potent you're already a potent offense, but be this just offensive machine and just say, listen, we're gonna live and die by teams trying to stop us more than we stop them. And that's why I love the Zach Levine acquisition because I think he's such a dynamic scorer and he's so much better on the offensive end than Michael Porter Jr., where he can
Yeah,
play Michael Porter Jr.'s role while also giving you like 5 times more than that. Like he could give you Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. basically in a bottle, that on ball scoring, the 3 level scoring, the athleticism. And I think, yeah, you do get smaller. You do lose a bit of size, of course, but I feel like at this point, you don't know what you're gonna, like you mentioned, you don't know what you're gonna get with Jamal Murray, and being as if you don't know that, you kind of want to just be like, bro, we need something. We need another bucket getter in the West, and then for
Yeah.
Cleveland, man, listen, Cleveland, they just you don't hear it. Like you don't nobody they just whipped Denver's ass yesterday. And
Yeah.
nobody has said a word, hasn't been talked about. I mean, Mobley, Garland, and Mitchell, I think they combined for like 90 points yesterday. And just nothing's been spoken about. And I agree with you. I think Cleveland poses the biggest threat. We talked about it on the show too. I think Cleveland for me poses the biggest threat because they have two bigs that can actually keep up in that matchup and that can actually give them mismatch problems, and if Darius Garland is playing well, which we saw in the first matchup when they played in Boston, the difference in that game was Darius Garland played like
Yeah,
shit.
Dallas Garland wasn't playing
He,
well.
he was terrible, and it still went down to the wire. Game two, what happened? Darius Garland played a lot better. Obviously, it's been injuries on both sides in the matchups, but for the most part, I think Cleveland provides the biggest test to Boston just because of the mismatch problems they have in the front court. Another team that's sneaky in this whole conversation, though, is the Phoenix Suns. They've been hovering around the Jimmy Butler conversation, and it's very, very, very important to realize that for people if they don't know, Bradley Beal has a no trade clause, so inevitably this deal could be done, but it's up to Bradley Beal to say yes. A
Yeah.
friend of
What's
mine told me, yeah, a friend of mine told me he was like, "Listen, if I'm Bradley Beal, I go to Miami. It's nice weather. I'll probably get the ball a little bit more. Why not say yeah?
why not?
Like
Why not?
I could go over here. I could probably be a big vocal point in the offense. Get back to my 20, 25, maybe 30 points a game.
I'm telling you,
Get,
I'll do it. I'll
yeah,
do
like
it.
you're going to Miami. It's not like you're going to like Detroit. Respect to Detroit, they're doing well right now. But it's not like you're going to Detroit or Indiana, like these cold states. Nah, you're going to South Beach. Like
For real.
why?
Hey, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah, so
I'll
I
definitely
think
do it.
that's a team that if they get Jimmy Butler, we're talking about it now. Potential. You got D Book, you got KD. Now Jimmy Butler's the third guy. You got Ryan Dunn, who's been one of their better defenders. Nurkic is trash, but you know, I like Grayson Allen. I like Royce O'Neal. I like what they're doing over there in Phoenix. I like Tyus Jones. So you bring in
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler to that lineup, it's dark.
One thing that intrigued me with Phoenix, because Phoenix is one of the teams we were going to talk about, so we might as well dive right in. Phoenix was one of the more clutch teams in basketball to start the season, and that was something that Phoenix had a problem with last season.
Yep.
Their offense tanked a lot in clutch scenarios, and this season they were really carrying it out with a fully healthy roster. I know as of late it's been a little shaky with Devin Booker, KD being out, but at full strength, I would take them over Minnesota. As of right now, maybe over Denver. The only thing that's maybe giving me like hesitation is because the Denver Nuggets have Jokic. But the Phoenix Suns are a real threat. Offensively, they look a lot better. Defensively, Ryan Dunn is a problem. I like Royce O'Neal as a defender. Kevin Durant has been their best offensive player and defensive player this season. And him being 37, 38 years old around that range and being such a good defender for them, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, the Phoenix Suns, they're very intriguing. And I do think if they had a rim protector instead of Nurkic, I think it would be a much bigger conversation around it because I think that's what they're missing is that true rebounding, rim protecting type of center. Like I would even swing for a Noah Clowney. Like I think Noah Clowney in a better role could really show that he's a decent rim protector. He can move well on his feet and he can hit a jump shot occasionally. But I think that's what they need the most is a rim protection big.
My boy, he's a Nets fan. We were just literally just talking about Noah Clowney like
Yeah.
yesterday, and like it was a stat I sent him. It was like over his last 7 games, he's shooting like 42% from the 3 point line, and that could be like a flyer. Like, listen,
Yeah.
you got
Like
Kevin Durant, you got D Book, take a flyer on. But I think like a guy like Robert Williams would be
yeah.
dope for Phoenix. I agree with you 100% wholeheartedly. I think Phoenix is a sleeping giant. Actually, I think they're legit a dark horse in the West. I think if they play OKC, they provide a ton of matchup. They provide a ton of problems for OKC. They can probably score just with them. Like if you have a fully healthy, which is probably going to be hard to really get into, but if you have a fully healthy Phoenix Suns team, I mean, this team is a lot better in my opinion from last year. I know they're sitting 15 and 15 right now, so people are going to
Yeah.
probably look at us crazy, but this team has been dealing with two of their top guys being in and out the lineups, dealing with a bunch of injuries. I think though if they're healthy, you have Tyus Jones who can kind of create some pace, get them in their sets right, make the simple passes, don't cause any turnovers. You got Book, you got KD, Nurkic and them boys. Bradley Bill's playing really well too this year. I don't think he's playing bad at all. And then you have Grayson Allen who can hit the three ball, Royce O'Neal. Like you have a solid, competent team that can really give these teams like OKC. Like if you walk in and you're Phoenix and they're like a 7 seed, because obviously they're dealing with injuries. If you're a top 2 seed, you're sitting there like, damn, this is a tough ass 7.
Yeah,
Like if you're Memphis and you're a 2 seed, I can see Phoenix walking out that series, or maybe even walking as the favorite. You know what I'm saying? Because they're that good. I know seeding is very different. Memphis is a lot deep, a lot of a deeper team than Phoenix, but Phoenix is a nightmare matchup problem for any team in the West that doesn't, for me, have an elite post up player. So like a team like Denver, I still would take Denver because I think the Joker can really exploit that. I think the Lakers with AD would give them some real problems. Obviously, they don't have the back end players, but I think Phoenix. I agree with you. They're a sleeping giant.
the next team we're going to be talking about, your Golden State Warriors.
Oh,
Your Golden State Warriors this your Golden State Warriors this season. They started out really hot. And I think the problem presented itself. I think it's night and day, and we see the difference. Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield to start the season looked like he was going to be the number 2 guy. And
it's not good.
my co-host Mars from Players Choice, we got a show together. He told me, he was like, yeah, everybody's saying like, yeah, Buddy Hield's in a new situation. He's gonna start hooping, but we see this all the time. Buddy Hield, he starts out really hot in a new situation, and then once he gets cold, he doesn't shoot it as much, which makes it kind of invaluable. With the values that he did bring are kind of taken away when he's not shooting the ball as much. If I'm Steph Curry, like, look, if you have a breath of air, shoot
Shoot.
it.
Yep.
I don't care. Just shoot the ball. Because I think that's the biggest problem with the Golden State Warriors. They don't have a number 2. They don't have a number 2. There's plenty of times, even in the Christmas game against the Lakers, it looked like the Lakers were trying to give this game away without Anthony Davis. A number 2 with Steph Curry, I think it will really change that issue. I definitely think they have some movable contracts with Jonathan Kuminga, with Andrew Wiggins, and I think this is probably the most realistic spot for Jimmy Butler to go to, because you have the Andrew Wiggins contract, you have the Jonathan Kuminga you got Jonathan Kuminga that you can move as well. So I think this may be the most realistic spot for Jimmy Butler, who can provide a high level of playoff defense and some tough shot making in the playoffs that could really be aid to Steph Curry in a playoff situation, because there could be some moments in the playoffs where it's like, okay, we're going to key in on Steph, and we're probably going to have to make Draymond beat us, or Jonathan Kuminga, he's going to have to beat us, or AirPods is going to have to beat us. And what makes it like sour for me is you guys were like dangling these young players like they were just these shiny new pieces on the block, and they haven't necessarily been playing well. So that would be a little aggravating, but I think this might be the most realistic spot for him, at least for me.
Yeah, I think Jimmy can get here. I think you have to give up some stuff. I think you have Moses Moody, who I found out the other day his contract don't even kick into next year. That would have helped immensely because he would be getting paid 13 mil. But you have a GP contract around 9 mil dangling. Wiggs is at about 25, 28. Buddy Hield's at 9. Kyle Anderson's at 9. So you got some stuff you can dangle. Kaminga's at 8. I wouldn't hate Jimmy Butler. You probably have to give up 3 players, but they were playing like 11 anyways. My only issue with it is now you have 2 guys who, at this point in their career, aren't really number ones in a regular season standpoint. They can't really carry the load. If Jimmy's healthy, he's playing. I'm fine with it. I think at this point for Golden State, you kind of need a guy that can carry a regular season load, get you to the playoffs, have Steph Rail Wested, and now he's the number 1 guy come playoff time. But I want them to make a move. Like I don't even care. Like I want Jimmy Butler. Bring Jimmy Butler. You had an opportunity last offseason to bring in Zach LaVine for Chris Paul, and you chose to not do it. You had an
Oh, I forgot
opportunity.
all about that.
You had an opportunity to bring Laurie in for Pods, and you said no. Let's not do it. So okay, why? What's the confusion? Do you like? And now you're sitting here, Jonathan. I saw this tweet, and it shocked the shit out of me. Jonathan Kuminga's 2 best games this year have happened when Steph and Dre didn't play. When them
Yeah,
two
because he
when
went
them
crazy
two
against the Rockets.
don't play, yeah. Kuminga has had his 2 best efficient games of the year. So you know what that tells me? Trade his ass. That
Yeah, as
tells
soon
me
as possible.
he needs to be unleashed. Fine, he needs to be unleashed. He needs to go somewhere where he can develop. I don't hate it. I think he has untapped potential. Let him go develop it and go get somebody that can actually help you win now. I don't know what the direction is for this team. I don't know what the organization is doing. Maybe they're stabbing Steph in the back and they're like, listen, man, we're gonna act like we know we're gonna act like we're gonna make moves, but we're not gonna make moves. Steph's too nice of a person to really say anything. Then on top of that, Steve Kerr's lack of developing young players eventually has to get talked about. He's basically missed on almost every draft pick they've
Everybody,
had.
almost everybody.
It's been ridiculous. He's great with veterans and already established players, but when it comes to developing, he's not good at that. Um, but yeah, I think this is definitely a move that can make sense. Jimmy Butler to the Golden State. Did Pat Riley did come out and say they're not trading Jimmy. Jimmy's agent makes it apparent they're not trading it. Shams said, "No, this is the story I believe in the most. I'm fully locked in on this story. Jimmy Butler's getting traded." So it's like a war right now to find out who's telling the truth, and
Yeah,
nobody knows the truth unless Jimmy Butler speaks out and he says the truth. So, but I think Golden State, Jimmy Butler, it makes sense. You mentioned it. They started 12-3. Now they're 15-15, which means you're like 3 of your last. I don't know. Is that just you
like
lost like
12-3 to
yeah,
15 and
15
15.
yeah,
You're like 3-12
yeah, you're
over
three
your
and
last
12 in your
15.
last 15 games. Nuts. Truly insane. On Christmas, you mentioned it. You got a Steph Curry masterclass, which is hard to do nowadays. He's dealing with knee tendonitis. You got him running around 50 screens at 38 years old. He's old, he's tired, he's broken down, he's seeing all these coverages. You need a number two. You need a number two. We've been saying it for the past 2 years. You need a number two. I don't know if they're gonna do it, but I like Jimmy Butler in Golden State.
Yeah, 100%. Now, the next team we're going to be talking about is the Los Angeles Lakers.
Here we
Los
go.
Angeles Lakers, man. This is going to be a tough one for me because once again, I keep falling into these traps with my teams. But this season, we've kind of gotten like up and down. We had an up and down season. To start off the year, we just gotten so brainwashed with Darvin Ham to see our guys running sets and getting to the basket a lot easier. AD's now the hub of the offense, and he looked really good. We're like, you know what, man, we can. Hey, we're sneaky, And then we start losing these games. LeBron took over Twitter with his downfall, and everybody's talking about it. And JJ Redick, he's been okay. I can't sit here and say he's been fantastic. There's some things I just don't agree with, like early on in the season, trying to really force our team to, or trying to really enforce this 3 point identity when we just don't have the shooters necessary to be a heavy 3 point shooting team. I didn't necessarily agree with that. And then we've kind of been ignoring our biggest flaws, which is the transition defense, the perimeter defense, the point of attack defense. Right now, our best perimeter defender in Jared Vanderbilt, you could argue, is hurt. And the effort is just not there night in and night out. And then LeBron James, he's been a negative defensively, as probably as bad as it's ever been. Anthony Davis hasn't been that good of a defender this season as well. I mean, I'm kind of sure it's going to kick up in the playoffs, but there are a few players that I have my eye on. There's a guy like Matisse Thybulle on the Blazers. I would love to go pick him up. Dorian Finney-Smith would love to go pick him up. A guy like Dennis Smith Jr. I don't even think he's with a team. Go grab him, pick him up. You're like, look, if you could play defense for 15 to 20 minutes a night, you'll get another contract. It's just anybody that can come in and play defense consistently to help this team out. I think Dalton Connect has been fantastic as a rookie. He's gone through a couple of slumps, but as a shooter, we know you're going to get that cold streak. It's almost inevitable. But I think the biggest necessary change for this team is the point of attack defense. I think we've seen with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, this can be a top 12, top 10 offense. We would just like to see the defense kick up a little bit. And Gabe Vincent looks pesty at times. Max Christie looks solid at times. He's really undisciplined at times as well, though. So I would say just bringing in some point of attack defense that could really help out this team because right now it's just not looking good.
Yeah, it was easy to scapegoat Darvin Ham because he was ass. He was terrible. Didn't really make any adjustments. Didn't play his best lineups. Wasn't good at the X's and O's. But at the same time, there was also a lack of talent or
Yeah.
a lack of just roster, like a weak roster construction with that unit. And I think this year, well, last offseason, getting JJ Redick, I still believe was a good move. I still
Mhm.
believe getting
Yeah,
JJ Redick was the right move, but you still have the same roster issues. I don't think JJ Redick can fix an effort issue from guys who are kind of already established in the league, kind of already have their egos and stuff like that. I don't know if JJ Redick is that type of guy that can fix that, but as you can see, this team just lacks effort on the defensive side of the ball. Not only effort, but you don't have the players. You just don't have a good roster. And it's tough to really gauge and look at JJ Redick and be like, damn, you see, Darvin Ham wasn't the problem. But the reality is the roster hasn't changed. The reality is your best perimeter defender right now is Cam Reddish, and offensively, sometimes he's not the goods. So you have to. I love those moves, but who are you going to move? Are you finally going to
exactly.
move D'Lo? Is it finally going to be the time? Gabe Vincent, can you try to move him? This is the Lakers are kind of in a situation like kind of with Golden State of, do you milk what's left for your draft capitals to put a win now roster, or do you think about life without the megastar LeBron, Steph Curry, like same vibe? Do you think about life without the two megastars and just be like, nah, we're just gonna live or die by this roster, and then when they retire, we can rebuild properly? So because I think LeBron and AD still have it. It's
Yeah.
just they don't have it in a sense of they can do it for a long 82 game season. You can only do that for so much, but you give them a proper roster, you have them going to a playoffs, they can still do it. I fully believe that.
Yeah, I think they can. I think they can win a playoff series depending on matchup. I
For
definitely
sure.
think they can win a playoff series. Um, One of the things that I wanted to bring up was just, damn, I forgot. I forgot that quick, but yeah, I don't. I'm optimistic about this team. I don't know if I would necessarily give up those first round picks because if they give those first round picks up and it'd be for somebody like, because we're not going to get Donovan Mitchell. We're not going to get Trey Young. We're not going to get these guys. We're not going to get Zach Levine. We don't have the pieces to move for a Zach Levine, for a Jimmy Butler. We just don't have it. So the only way you can move these first round picks is for a role player that's not going to push you to a championship. If we are moving these first round picks, I want to be a top 3 seed lock. To have the roster, the type of roster to be up in that conversation. And I don't see a move where the Lakers can do that. I just don't. So if you just hold on to these picks, just hold on to these picks. I'll thug it out for the next 3-4 years. I'll thug it out. It's okay.
I feel like
But
DFS is gettable. Two
yeah,
seconds.
100%. 100%. And I would like that move. I would like that move. But then again, he's definitely gettable. He's definitely gettable.
I
He can
agree.
play and he'll raise our ceiling just a little bit. He'll raise our floor just a little bit. But as far as like the aspirations that were put on this team, that are put on this team every year, and simply just ignoring the roster that is around LeBron and Anthony Davis, I don't know if it's worth giving up those picks. I just don't see a world where we can take this team and our salary and turn it into a championship contending type of team. So whatever happens, those 2 first round picks are heavily guarded because
Yeah.
it's going. If we trade those picks and the trade doesn't work out, it's going to be very ugly in Los Angeles for the next couple of years.
Ooh.
Going to be just thinking about it. Just thinking about it pisses me off. Just thinking about it. But that's the Los Angeles Lakers, man. We have been rattling through these teams, which is really good because the players part is something I'm a little bit more excited for, just really talking about these players. And we're actually going to start with probably the hottest name out of all these players being traded, and that is De'Aaron Fox. Mike Brown just got fired the other day. I think 500 or so days far away from being the coach of the year, first ever unanimous coach of the year, I believe. Ended a 17-year playoff drought for the Sacramento Kings. And now the De'Aaron Fox trade rumors are starting to heat up. We've been hearing something about the San Antonio Spurs and the Houston Rockets. I believe those have been the two biggest names in this kind of race. So, Riv, which one do you believe would be the better outcome for De'Aaron Fox, Houston or San Antonio?
Damn. That's it's a tough ass question. Because I think both of those destinations are primed to be great. I mean,
Yeah,
you got San Antonio with Wembayana. I don't even know if I said his name right. Victor though. But you got
yeah,
You got Victor over there. He's doing amazing things over there. They're sitting at 16 and 15 right now, so they're competing hard. You got Stephon Castle, who I think a lot of people are really high on, myself included, to be a really, really great
Yep.
player. Devin Vassell is cool. I like Jeremy Sohan. Um, but then you look over at Houston. Oh, and then of course San Antonio's draft capital. They got
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. They got basically Atlanta's future. So Atlanta has to be tricky with what they do. And then of course they have their own picks. And then with Houston, I mean Houston, there's so much I love over there. I mean, you got Amon, you got Tari Eason. I believe in Cam Whitmore.
So do
Sengun is
I. I will
cool.
not leave that
Yeah,
bus.
I just can't like
I will
it's
not
so
leave
much
that
going.
bus.
Reed Shepard, they just drafted. You got Jalen Green, who's he still got something. He
Yeah,
still
it's something there. It's
it's
something.
something. It's something. He gives you something every other night. He gives you something.
Right. He'll give you some.
It all depends. Like if I'm Houston, right? So I'm gonna try to put myself in their shoes. I'm
Yeah.
Houston. We have Fred Van Vliet, who's kind of been our veteran guard. We're obviously gonna move off him eventually. Jalen Green would probably be in the Fox deal, right? Then you'll probably have to add another player or two. If it was me, I'd probably throw in Cam Whitmore and Reed Shepard. Kind of give them their point guard, shooting guard, small forward.
Yeah.
You throw in 3 or 4 first, right? Let's just say that's the deal. Fox, Amen, Eason, Jabari, Sengun. Is that a team that can win a championship? Can you win a championship with Fox as your 1 or 2? It's all dependent on Amon. What do you believe Amon can be? I tweeted this literally earlier. Amon's ceiling is so hard to predict because he's like
Yeah.
a generational athlete at 6'7" with a tricky ball handling, but he can also be so exceptional off the ball. You don't know what his ceiling is. He's truly an anomaly in the sense that you really don't know what his ceiling is. It can be really super high, or it can be what it is now, just a little bit better. Like it's so depending on how hard he works in the offseason and where they put him. And if you get Fox, Fox is gonna kind of be that ball dominant guard. You're probably kind of saying, all right, Amon's gonna be like our third guy. But now I'm looking at San Antonio. You got a number one there.
Yeah,
The
you
number
got
one
it. You
like
good. Like
he's there. So and I believe Fox is not a number one. And it's not a
there's
number one.
nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with that. I think he can be a number two though. And if it was me, I think San Antonio is the perfect spot
Yeah.
for Fox because you can move Vassell if you need to, or you can move Keldon Johnson. You can move even both if you want to. You can give up draft capital without giving up everything and still have capital to bring in guys. You'll still have cap. You'll be able to keep Stephon Castle, who's already played at UConn and he already understands the idea of what it needs to be to win a championship. He already knows how to play around other players. So for him, this would be an easy fit. You have Victor. I don't know if Pop is going to be there, but I trust in San Antonio's coaching staff regardless. Not the guy they
Yeah.
have right now, but to bring in a new guy. Um, I think Fox is meant for San Antonio. I've been pushing it. This is the spot. You already have your number one. Bring in a number two. The number two is
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox. I think he's an amazing point guard. You just fill out the roster with them two, which you don't need much, and you have yourself a team that can contend in the West for a long time.
Long time. Like thinking about that, it's just
And Fox is like 26. Oh my God.
exactly like you got like 6 more years out of him at least. You got like 6 more years out of him. So I would definitely go with San Antonio. And if I'm Houston, I think Houston is in a tricky situation. Like you said, they don't know who their 1, 2, or 3 is. So it's like you don't necessarily know like who's going to be this guy that can ascend to this number one. And when I look at the Houston Rockets situation, I'm thinking it to myself like De'Aaron Fox would definitely raise our floor. He would definitely raise our floor. And but if I'm Houston, it's like I've seen this blueprint. I've seen this blueprint before. Boston. What if they traded that 2017 first round pick for DeMarcus Cousins? Like, what if that happened? You don't get Jason Tatum. What if OKC ends up trading for Laurie Markkinen? Now you can't sign Isaiah Hartenstein. Now you don't have a big in the rotation. So I think we've seen these young teams with a lot of assets and a lot of young pieces. They've sat on their hands, and we've questioned. At least I did. I definitely questioned Boston. Like Boogie IT, like, what are we doing? Let's make it happen. But whole time it's something bigger happening right now. And I think that would be the road I would go down if I'm Houston. It's like, look, we still got Brooklyn's pick in 2027. I don't think they're gonna flip this whole thing on its side within 2 seasons. I still think that's a lottery pick by then. Who knows what Phoenix is gonna be? Houston has their picks. Who knows what's gonna happen with them? They're competing right now, but 2 years down the line, who knows? I definitely would see like what I can do with these picks and who I could bring in with this young talent before I necessarily deep dive into a De'Aaron Fox move, because I love De'Aaron Fox in Houston. But then again, if you have all this capital and you have all these young pieces and the best you can get out of it is maybe a WCF run, that would be pretty disappointing to me, especially seeing the blueprint 2 times before with OKC, who is now looks like is going to be a back-to-back 1 seed in the Western Conference. Boston, who's been consistently contending and finally got their championship. I would say if I had all these assets, it would be pretty disappointing to be a playoff team, solid playoff team, and then kind of just inevitably end up falling out of the race because we don't have that number one guy. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because well, you got the playoffs this year, so for Houston,
mhm,
they'll be able to figure out what's going on with who's
yeah.
really And I think Sengun is a really good player. Is he a one? I don't know. It's hard for centers of that like archetype to really be your top guy. And I think they circling they're they're more in the play for guys like Giannis, D Book. Like they want a true
Yeah,
hybrid number one dude. So if that's the case, you have the assets for that. I don't see a reason why not wait a year. I don't think Fox gets traded in mid year either. I think he gets traded more in the summer. But
yeah,
I think San Antonio is just so perfect for him. Like
yeah.
you already have your number one guy. You have a couple good players there. That would be the perfect spot for him, in my opinion.
I feel like San Antonio. I feel like this. I hope it's not another Trey Young thing because I was so geeked. I'm like, yeah, he finna go to San Antonio. Trey and Wemby, but whole time he ended up not happening. But I would love to see De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama play together. Like, anyway, up next, we have a few role players that I wanted to talk about because I feel like they can make a very big impact. We talked about one of them earlier in Cam Johnson. There are a few teams that I think Cam Johnson could really work for. I mean, 3-and-D guy who shoots the piss out of the ball. I mean, he can really fit anywhere. But some teams I would love to see him with. Houston, very underrated. I would love to see him in Houston. Memphis, you brought this one up. I love that as well. OKC almost seems inevitable. Like OKC is in that position where they've been in situations where they just couldn't shoot the ball almost too many times this year. Against Houston, they were really ugly from the 3-point line. Against Milwaukee, they were really ugly from the 3-point line. And then they had that series against Dallas last season. I don't know if they necessarily want to take that chance this year. And I think bringing in Cam Johnson could really rectify that. But I also think that Memphis has some pieces they can move to go bring him in. I also think Houston does. There's a lot of teams that could really use Cam Johnson. And what I want to ask you is, what do you think the best fit is?
I would say for Cam, it's probably OKC. The best fit. I don't think OKC has. I think they're weird because they're like top 16 in half court offense. I
Mhm.
attribute that really to just them not having Chet and their shooters not being knockdown shooters. I mean, Alex Caruso has been one of the worst offensive players in basketball this year, efficiency wise. Isaiah Joe, excuse me, guys like Case and Wallace, they're a little bit streaky. I think Cam is not a streaky shooter. I think he's a knockdown, catch
Yeah,
and shoot, 3-point shooter, while also being able to give you some quality minutes at the defensive side. I think he would kind of help a lot in OKC because a lot of their guys are streaky 3-point shooters. We don't deem them as deep, like Lou Dortz, Case, and they're not 3-point shooters. They're guys that can hit the three ball, and I think Cam Johnson is a 3-point shooter. So that's somebody I would love, and I think he fits right in OKC. Um, a team like Cleveland, like I mentioned before, I think that's another destination. I think that's really perfect for him. And then the third team, I would say, off the top of my head, hmm, yeah, that would probably be it, honestly.
yeah.
OKC and Cleveland. Oh, and Memphis, of course, we said that. I think those are the three teams, I think those he would fit on that makes sense and that are teams that can grab him.
Yeah, I definitely think OKC is probably the favorite to get Cam Johnson, and it's those type of small moves, those refining moves that OKC is probably going to be making over the next season or two to really make sure that they can go all the way, And I feel like this is a small move that they're going to have to make. It's you stack up all these draft picks, you stack up all this capital, all this cap space, all these young players. Eventually, it's going to be time to use them,
Yep.
and I think right now, especially since their championship window is starting to open, it's time to start bringing in what you need to start winning these titles. And I think OKC probably has the best trade package to send over there. Every time somebody is available and it looks like OKC could use them, OKC is probably going to be the favorite for the next couple of seasons. And they did what's necessary to do that. So I think Cam Johnson is definitely going to be a great fit for OKC. So next up, we have the whole entire New Orleans Pelicans roster. That's who we have up next. We've gotten reports that almost all of these guys have been in talks to be moved, whether it's CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. I've heard some chirping about Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, not necessarily much as Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, but after this season, it's kind of like, you know what, we really tried. One thing we've always had around Zion Williamson is talent. And in the end of the day, we keep that talent because we don't know if Zion's going to be healthy. Like sometimes I think New Orleans values the talent more than the fit because the
Yep.
guy that they would be fitting their team around, you just don't know if he's going to be there. So, and I don't know if you know the situation with Zion's contract. They got over on him. They got over on
What's
him.
the situation?
So he has to pass 6 weigh-ins. He has to pass 6 weigh-ins to get like 40% of his contract.
Which means
And
six
then he
wins.
has
What's that?
like his weight checks, like just going in and getting weighed in.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he has to pass 6 weigh-ins, and he has to play like if he plays 40 games, if he plays over half his games, he gets
Hmm.
a certain amount. If he plays 60 games, certain amount. If he gets 70 games, certain amount. Now he's possibly out for the year, and based on his last couple of videos, at least I've seen what I've read, it doesn't look like he's gonna pass the weigh-ins. So he's in a situation where he might get 40% of his contract. So it's like that's the reason he fired his agents
Yeah,
is
I would
because
too.
they went over the
I would too.
yeah.
Fucking
So
my.
it's
What
like
do you mean a weight check? Give me my money.
yeah, bro. Like
Like, what do you mean a
yeah,
weight?
so it's like and it's like if I think there's a clause in there where New Orleans now I may be wrong because I read an article on this a few weeks ago and I watched a couple videos on it, but I read through an article that New Orleans has the chance to like cut him and all the money on his contract is like done deal. They don't have to pay it. Anytime they want. They could just be like, all right, Zion, we're done. We don't have to pay you anymore. And obviously, they're not going to do that. They're probably going to try and trade him and get some assets back, but they do have that option. So in this situation, I think a lot of teams could probably sell low for Zion Williamson. I think the Pelicans are in a situation where you know what the Zion thing just didn't work out. Um, there have been times where Zion Williamson has looked really good. He dropped 40 on my Lakers, and I think a fully healthy Zion, you can really like go far in the playoffs with him. I think he has a play style. He's one of the best finishers around the rim. He has at the angle, at the jumping point. He improved as a playmaker a lot this season, rebounding. It's just he's never healthy. So when I look at teams around the league, I'm like, where does this guy really fit? I really don't know. I really don't know. Like if I was the Hornets, I would throw something at it, see what sticks. If I'm the Clippers, I don't know if I necessarily would do that. Kawhi and Zion in the same team, that's a headache. That is a headache.
At that point, I'd lose my fucking mind.
That's a headache. But even Miami, they were like, hey, you know what? Bam and Zion, Tyler on the perimeter. What happens? But I've been thinking about a Zion fit for a while now, and it's just never come up to me. So it's like, yeah, let's see. What do you have to say?
You know what's funny? The Pelicans actually have a lot of good players that would fit on a lot of teams, except their
Yeah,
two stars.
yeah,
That's
like
literally the problem.
literally,
Like Trey Murphy can fit on a shit ton of teams. Herb Jones, a lot of teams would want Herb Jones. Even Jose Alvarado, a lot of teams would want him too. Like he's a good point guard that teams would value. Jordan Hawkins is another guy teams would like. Um, It's really just the two stars. Like Zion's game is very, very specific, and it's really hard. Kind of almost like Giannis, but Giannis is now adapted a mid-range jumper, and he's a really good playmaker. But Zion's game is really hard to build around. And like you mentioned, the only team I thought about was Charlotte. Like you got high flyers over there. You need something. Sell low on Zion. I mean, but then you have
Yeah,
LaMelo and Zion, and now you're just praying to God they stay healthy.
yeah,
But at the same time, what else do you have? What else? Like Zion is in this situation where I can't think of three teams that make sense. Like I just they're so like
yeah,
it's so hard for him because his game is so difficult to really play around. It's so difficult to just plop in a team, and then you don't even know if he's gonna play. You don't know what type of shape he's gonna be in. It's in like he's a 4-5-3. He's a tweener. I don't even know what
yeah,
position he is for real.
exactly.
Can't shoot for real. Like it's just Zion's he came out. He was a 101 prospect. He was really a generational athlete coming out, but excuse me. I really don't with Zion. I don't know. Bi the same way. I really like. I feel like a team like Golden State would be dope to grab up Bi. You sell low on him, a guy that can come in give you some buckets. But like Bi is another one. How many teams can really fit with Brandon Ingram's play style? He has the skills of a number one, but he's not a number one. Is he a number two? Don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's real. Like his skill set is really good for what teams would need. I think a team like Cleveland, if they sell low, plopping him at the three would be kind of cool, I guess. But I don't know. Like them two guys are just the Pelicans are right now. They're in this
yeah,
constant
constant
loop,
loop.
and I don't know how it's gonna get better, truthfully. And then Willie Green, like he's kind of trash. So
It's yeah, man. It's a headache. It's a headache with the New Orleans Pelicans because when I think about him, it's like I had such high hopes for
really,
Zion. For Zion, when he
oh,
came out, when he first
I
came
always
out,
thought he was
yeah,
number two. I always thought Ja
yeah.
was.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't pick up on Ja till like halfway through his rookie season.
I thought
Ja
Ja was
Morant
number
been,
one. Like
yeah,
from his second year in Murray State, I was a fan his first year. His second year in Murray State, I'm like, yeah, he's the number one pick. Don't care what
yeah. I'm
nobody
not
says.
gonna lie. I
Yeah,
was I was I was late on Ja. I was late on Ja.
hey,
Now he's one of my favorite players, but
yeah,
I
he's
was definitely late on Ja. But yeah, I was campaigning for Cam Reddish was the star of that Duke team. I
another
was
guy.
yeah.
I said he was like three. I was like, yo,
I
Cam
was locked
better
in
than
on
RJ.
Cam Reddish, boy.
I was like, Cam is better than RJ. Stood
Yeah,
on that for a while.
yeah, yeah. I was 10 on 1. 10 on 1 every day in the lunchroom. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm Cam. But yeah, this Pelicans team, it is a headache. It is a headache because Brandon Ingram, like you said, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, their portability is just it's a little shaky, and
Tough, man.
yeah, like it's it's gonna be hard trying to get those two off your team. Like I think Brandon Ingram may probably draw the interest of more teams than Zion
Well, he's
because
on the
Zion
expiring.
he is only expiring. Damn, I didn't even think about that.
That's the tricky part. Like, dude, now so do you extend him or let him walk, or
Yeah,
trade him to Brooklyn? Fuck it. Like, hey, you wanna
yeah, for real. Will
just
Brooklyn
give us a
take him?
pick? Just give us a pick or two. Like, just give
Yeah,
us
like
something.
yeah, give us a pick and give us Ben. Give us Ben Simmons. He expires at the end of the season. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Like, just something because they don't have anything.
100%. The next team or the next player we're going to be talking about, I know we spoke about him a little bit earlier, is Zach Levine. We kind of
Here we
talked
go.
about his fit with the Nuggets. One thing I want to ask you while I just dropped the cap of my water, but that's fine. The thing I wanted to ask you was, do you think there's still a way he can find himself in Golden State?
Damn. What is he making? Let's double check that real
I
quick.
think he's like around 36 to 42 million.
Check that right now. Zach Levine's contract. That's gonna tell me everything I need to know. Ah, okay. He is making 43 this year.
43. Yeah.
Okay. Now let me check Andrew Wiggins. This is gonna tell me everything I need to know. Andrew Wiggins is making 26. Okay. Andrew Wiggins. This is
Gary.
team fans watching. This is just a rough estimate. If I'm a little
Okay.
off, please relax. 26. Let's say Kaminga's making roughly 7. I don't even.
Mhm.
I wouldn't even want to trade Kaminga in that too. Here's the thing. What's Zach Levine's market? It's low, but then he's playing
Yeah,
really well.
he is playing really well. So it's like,
I'd reckon Chicago probably wants a young player. So Wiggins, Kaminga, her breaks my heart for Wiggins. Really does. Wiggins, Kaminga, that's about 33. Add in the GP, that's about 41.
yeah,
We get it done.
yeah,
If it's that,
that works. Yeah,
I'll do it.
especially like the contract. I mean, there's a way where you can sell low on Zach Levine and bring him into
But this
Golden
this
State.
this team this team has deeper problems, and like Zach Levine won't. He'll fix the offense, but then now we're losing one of our best POA
GP,
guys.
Andrew Wiggins. Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all
So
will lose some.
I
Y'all
would
will
love
lose
Zach Levine. I wish like, we had an opportunity to get him last offseason. I would love Zach Levine in Golden State, but I think Zach Levine is destined for Denver. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's there. Yeah, I think it's there. All right, well, we've pretty much talked about all the players and all the teams of the trade season. Riv, once again, I appreciate you coming on to the show, man. This is something that I greatly appreciate. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, let me ask
Uh,
you before we get out of here. Let me
uh,
ask you some questions because I feel like you asked me questions for 50 minutes. I feel
mhm.
like it's fair for me to ask you some questions.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
How did you become a Lakers fan and then
Uh,
shift over to Pittsburgh? I'm so confused by
bro,
that.
okay. Let's break it down. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
so
I'm listening.
when I tell people, I live in Chicago, I'm a Steelers fan, I'm a Lakers fan, they're like, how did that happen? Why didn't you just root for the Bulls? Well, one thing is, I lived in New Jersey from the time I was 4 to 12. And that was when I really started growing up to be a sports fan in general, this, that, and the third. So I told my dad, I was like, yeah, dad, but Jersey don't really got no teams for real. Like New York. I was in South Jersey, so it's like we didn't really rep the Giants and the Jets. We kind of rep the Eagles, and I was like, everybody's repping the Eagles. I'm just gonna pick Pittsburgh. That's another Pennsylvania team. I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh. So my granddad bought me a Troy Polamalu jersey, and it was up from there. It was up from there. As soon as he bought me that, as soon as he bought me that jersey, I'm like, there's no switching now. As for
I
the
respect
Lakers, I
that.
just got a deep desire for Kobe. I got a deep desire for
Kobe
Kobe.
fan. All right.
Big Kobe guy. Big Kobe guy.
Okay.
100%. Yeah, so that's the story behind that. Yeah, that's like the main question I get when I meet people. They're like, "Bro, Steelers and Lakers. That's interesting from a
I've never heard
Chicago
no
guy."
shit like that in my life.
Yeah,
And
for
being from
real.
Chicago is nuts. I've never heard no shit
Yeah,
like
like imagine how hard it is being a Bron fan out here. Like
you a
thinking
Braun fan?
Bron's the goal.
You
Yeah.
you think Braun the GOAT?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
You a
You
Kobe
know
guy.
how hard
That's intriguing. I think that's intriguing. That's all I'm saying. You a
you
Kobe
know how
fan.
hard it is to argue with people out here.
Listen,
People didn't seen Mike win 6 of them chips.
Chicago
They,
loyal.
you can't
Can't
argue
say
with them.
the same about you, but I can say Chicago is loyal. I don't know about you. So
Hey, I trust me. I will root for Chicago. If my team isn't winning, Chicago every day of the week, every day of the week, every day of the week. I used to crisscross applesauce in front of the TV watching Derrick Rose.
who
I'm
did
telling
it,
you, out here, Derrick Rose used to make grown men sit with their hands and feet crossed, like watching TV.
No, it's mind-boggling how like when you talk to people, like people now, and they don't understand like the aura that was around D Rose at the time.
Yeah,
'Cause they just were too young. Like, dude, like people, grown men were scared to play him in the NBA. Like, and then you see all these NBA players tell the stories. They be like, "Oh, they dick riding." Oh no, that's not no. Like,
no,
legitimately,
we're not.
like D
No,
Rose,
we're not. He was
scary
like
dude,
that.
bro. Like, he was like that. Like, young kids nowadays, they just
They don't
don't
get
get
it,
it.
man. They don't
So
get
like,
it.
what's the since you're in Chicago, what's the feeling around Caleb Williams?
I haven't really heard much. Like people aren't really disappointed in him. I know because I was in downtown Chicago when Justin Fields got traded. It was
Right.
like St.
They
Patrick's Day.
they
I
was
was
heartbroken.
downtown. Yeah, they was pissed.
Mhm.
Everybody was pissed. He got traded to the Steelers too. So my dumb ass, I'm walking around smiling and shit. Everybody mad as hell. Everybody's mad as hell. So I'm like, damn, y'all really trading Justin Fields whole time. I got a Steelers keychain. This
Uh-huh.
like, what are you? This guy's suspect. But everybody was mad. It's like, nah, we don't want to trade Justin Fields. And I kept trying to tell people, like, I love Justin Fields. Don't get me wrong, but I just think it was time. It was time. Caleb Williams in that part, and even with how he's playing this season, I still would make that move. Like, you
Mhm.
have a potential chance to have one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I
Mhm.
think you take that chance. So yeah, Chicago was pissed. And I still think that they would rather have Justin Fields. Like I still see people arguing for Justin Fields, like we should never have traded him because now Caleb Williams is playing like shit. But I think by the new coaching staff,
Yep.
resurfaced offensive line, or just a touched up offensive line, that tune is going to change real fast. That tune is going to change real fast because we'll drag you through the mud if you playing like ass.
No,
You know
yeah.
how many times Chicago has gotten on Carlos Boozer? Like,
Because that brother used to be wilding.
yeah, bro, I'm telling you, yeah. So,
So, last question: who's your AFC and your NFC picks? Come out
ah,
and tell me why it's the Eagles.
I actually like the Eagles. I
They're the
actually
best
like the
team in the
Eagles.
world, bro.
I actually like the Eagles, and I'm actually picking them to come out the NFC. I think the Eagles are going to come out the NFC. I just think their defense is going to be enough because right now I think it's like a two-man race between Detroit and Philly. I think
Don't
Minnesota can
sleep on
make a
Minnesota, though.
yeah, 100%. I think Minnesota can make a run. I definitely think they will give Philly some headaches and Detroit some headaches, but I think it comes down to them two. So if I were to have to pick out of them, I think the Eagles because they probably have the most consistent run game between all three of them. I mean, I think Saquon has the ability to take over any game that he is in. So
Mhm.
I that is something I would necessarily lean on a little bit more, even though the Lions offense is ridiculous, but I would have to lean Saquon just taking over that game and winning that. As of Buffalo, I would say Buffalo in the AFC, but there's just this like
Their
it's like
defense.
yeah, exactly. Their defense, especially it's 8 p.m. It's the AFC Championship game. You're in Arrowhead. It's 14 seconds left, and that guy's coming onto the field, and it's
That
just
shit
like
was
you
so
don't.
ridiculous, bro. Like, I can't believe
Bro,
that
I
shit
was
happened, bro.
mad as hell, bro, because I don't. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of them, and it's like I can't even sit here and say like, look, I'm not gonna hate on them, but it's just like I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing it.
Mhm.
But it's like it's really hard to choose against them. It's really hard to choose. It's like as much as I want a Buffalo Bills and Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl, it's just something telling me that it's like we're probably gonna see Lions versus Chiefs, and we're gonna get a pass interference late in the third quarter, and Patrick Mahomes.
I really hate that
I'm
shit. Nah, I
bro.
really hate that shit for real.
Like I'm like, and it's like everything's improving at the right time. Their offensive line struggles have gotten massively better over the past couple of weeks. Their defense has always been really good. They have the best coaching staff in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. You're going into the playoffs. You have all home games. You give them a bye. Everything is pointing to them three-peating, bro. And it's
Yeah.
like it's hard. It's hard to pick against them. It's hard to pick against them. It's really hard to pick against them.
Yeah. Nah, I feel that.
I rooted for the Ravens last year in the AFC Championship game. This is running deep, and I don't even like the Ravens, not
Yeah.
one bit. I don't like the Ravens at all. I do not like them. They piss me off. They piss me off. Like they was talking so much hot shit the other day. The other day when they was playing us, Zay Flowers. I'm not even gonna get into it because I'm basketball. I'm more of a. I just want to watch good basketball.
Mhm.
Football. I'm like, you know what? I'm diving deep into the rivalries. You know, but basketball. If I watch good basketball, I'm a pleased man. You know what I'm saying? But football, I will talk very,
I
very
like
hard
that.
about the
I like that
Steelers.
a lot.
And I will shit talk. Like I lived in the same house as a Ravens fan.
Your
Every
dad.
time, yes, every time I saw him, I'm like, look, bro, y'all ass is trash. Every every time he used to come out with because he's from Kentucky or he's
Mhm.
from Louisville, and he's a big Lamar fan. So he went from Lamar straight to the Ravens. So I'm like, take that weak ass Louisville jersey off, bro. Take it off. Every time I saw him, bro. Every time. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's how I became a Steelers and Lakers fan. That's
I
definitely
respect
how I
it.
became.
It's a good ass story. Honestly, I thought I was gonna hear some nonsense, but I like it. It sticks. The Kobe stuff sticks. Pittsburgh, cool. I don't even have a problem with Pittsburgh. I'll be trying to defend Pittsburgh. You know,
Yeah.
I try.
Ooh, speaking of that, I'm so glad we whooped the Jets ass. I'm so glad we whooped because I watch y'all regularly. And I be trying, I'm like, bro, y'all like they they be talking the hottest shit on my team, and John don't be standing on business. He be letting it happen. He be
He-
letting it happen. He be letting
John
it
just he a
happen.
nice guy. John's a nice guy. He's
He
a
be
nice
letting
guy.
it happen. Oh, yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to beat y'all too. I wanted to beat y'all too.
Oh, you brother,
Just for this video, I could be. We made our pick a side runs. We
brother,
made our
that was
pick a
never
side
happened.
runs.
That was never
Yeah.
happened.
No GP solidified it. No
Yeah, we
GP
put y'all
solidified
in a
it. But
box. It was kind of like Dunzo.
yeah, yeah. No G. Yeah. I get it.
we,
I get it.
we
I get
beat
it.
y'all whole division.
Y'all did. Yep.
We walked down your whole division, like
It's all
walked
right.
down
It's all
the
right.
whole
Cause
division.
I actually like the Eagles. I
Seymour,
actually like the Eagles.
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, walked all y'all down. Same vibe, like same vibe,
It's about same vibe.
same vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
Cincinnati, we walked. That was the start. Fresh off the bye, Cincinnati walked them down in Cincy. All right, we got Baltimore coming up in a couple weeks. Walked them down in Philly. All right, Pittsburgh on the way. Walked them down too. It's like I don't even know. I don't even remember if we played the Browns. I think we did. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
y'all played them early season. It was one of them ugly
Yeah,
games
they're
when
irrelevant,
Deshaun
but
was still
walked them
playing.
down too just cause.
Yeah. All right, y'all. I think like the last 10, 15 minutes was just completely off topic, but that's all good, man. That's all good because I'm still trying to like, I'm still relatively new in this content creation space, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to get my name out there. So, I'm reaching out to more people all across the niche or the niche, however you say it. It's always really cool to meet, just being able to meet guys who've been in this longer than I have. So I appreciate you coming on once again. You know what I'm saying? Definitely tune in to pick a side as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? You guys to like, not to sound like, but for the people who don't know Riv, we know we've all seen the KD clip. We've
Oh,
all seen it,
God, I need a new clip. I need a new clip, man. I need something new.
But yeah, you guys, the YouTube channel will be in the link in the description, Riv Academy. You know what I'm saying? Keep your eyes posted. You know what I'm saying? Turn on a post notification. We never know when it's coming, but when it does come, we watch. You know what I'm saying? That sounds crazy, but that sounds crazy. That
Oh my
sounds
God.
crazy, but it is what it is. You know what I'm
Yo,
saying?
people are so funny because they always be like, "Yo, Riv, when are you gonna drop Riv Academy?" I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe one day I just get up and decide to do it, and then it'll just be like a random notey, and then people are commenting like, "Whoa, what the fuck? When you didn't tell us you were dropping?" I'm just like,
Yeah,
"Yo, bro,
I'm
sometimes
telling
I just
you.
get up and I just drop it. Like I have to be in the mood to do it."
I
So,
respect it. This is why, because I have my own show called Ball Dominant. I
mhm,
don't do it much. It's hard to talk by yourself for an hour and a half.
it
It
is.
really is.
Try like
Like,
20-minute videos, like 15. Like you like the Lakers, make like a 15, 20-minute video. Just how I.
yeah, 100%. Because this hour and a half talking alone, nah,
Mm-hmm.
nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. Then I gotta edit it. Like this. This is probably going straight up how it is. Like,
I respect that. I'd be like, nah. I guess they
yeah,
got somebody for that. I'd be like, yeah, you gonna edit this, bro? I ain't gonna do all that.
yeah, for real. But I appreciate everybody watching. Once again, if you want to find Riv's content, if you don't know, it will be in the link in the description. Appreciate everybody coming to watch this video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We have just hit 1,000 subs. You know what I'm saying? 98,970 more to go. You know what I'm saying? So we hit that 100K mark. You know what I'm
This
saying?
episode 14,
Yeah.
1,000 subs. Fuck yeah.
Come on, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Fuck
We
yeah.
there. We there.
I don't even remember when we hit 1,000. That shit was so long. I feel like I've been in this shit 30 years. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't
It's
even
it's
remember.
it's been what? I think I started in February. So I'll be making a year in February because I
Done
did TikTok.
14 episodes since February.
No, this is I do other videos, of course.
Oh,
I upload every day.
oh, I was like,
But
fuck.
yeah, this is I do like 15, 20-minute
Wait, so you
video.
were a part of Player's Choice?
I come on every now and then, when I don't work or when I have an off day, they ask me to come on, because that's really how it started. Like
Mhm.
that's really how I started getting my name out there because Ron called me. He was like, "Yeah, we want to bring you on a player's choice." I was lit as shit. Lit as shit. I was happy as shit. But yeah, that's what it all started. Then Mars texted me, he was like, "Yeah, bro, I want to get you on this podcast." And he's been pushing for me to get my name out there as well. And it's just, you know what I'm saying?
Lock in, man. Lock in, man. You got them pushing you. Like I was just on their show 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I watched it
Yeah,
100%.
I fuck with them. I fuck with OG. That's my guy.
Yeah,
You
OG's
know,
cool as hell.
so yeah, just be consistent, lock it. Trust me, that shit hard. And you gotta, I know how you because I got a full time job too, so I know how that should be difficult. You come home,
Bro,
you just want to lay down, play your
bro, I be
game.
trying, bro. Like, bro, and then trying to catch all the games, bro. And then you dead tired. It's like the Lakers game, and it's like halfway through the second quarter. My
Bro,
eyes getting heavy. I'm like, bro, come
it's
on.
halftime Warriors game. I'm knocked. Like it's
And
like,
then,
bro,
bro, and then they took the high low down, bro. Like that makes it even worse.
yeah,
Like
bro.
I'm like, bro, it is what it is. We're gonna lock in though. You know what I'm saying? We've been uploading every day consistently. I mean, every week I probably miss a day, you know what I'm saying? But you at least get 4 to 5 episodes from me every week.
Look,
Upload about 4 to 5. I do a lot of mock drafts like every week. You know what I'm
no,
saying?
we'll
I
get in
do,
tune with that for sure.
yeah, 100%. I was just gonna ask, whenever you want to come back, hey, just let me know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'd
we'll
be
get in
thirsty
tune
to get
for sure.
content.
Because you be, we'll get into, we'll do a mock draft. We'll probably do a post New Year's mock. You know what I'm saying? Get a little
100%.
feisty.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up because we've been going for like an extra 20 minutes. I appreciate everybody watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the Pick a Side channel, the Riv Academy channel. That will be in the link in the description below. And I'm out. We're out. Peace.